Hello, welcome to Premier Scene. I'm Claire Bueno, where we attend the premiere of Kill Your Friends, starring Nicholas Hoult.
Imagine you're standing on wafer-thin ice. Beneath your feet, you can see sharks circling. These are your colleagues, your friends.
You're a smart guy, Stephen. Sharp, ambitious.
Fuck off. Welcome to the music industry.
This seems to be a story of survival of the fittest taken to the extreme. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, certainly. Like the character I play is remorseless, and he will go to the very edge to make sure that he is at the top of this industry and doesn't lose his job, because he's fearful of going back to where he started, basically, his life.
Is it interesting for you as an actor being able to play these parts that take a person's personality and take it to its absolute limits, and for you to be able to explore that psychology, really?
Yeah. I mean, psychology is something that intrigues me anyway. And then just I'm very fortunate where I get to play very varied characters in very varied films. So this was a particularly twisted one, and it's rare that little part of your brain gets to be unleashed. And John and Owen, the director, managed to do it in a really fun, smart way, I think, where it doesn't get too slanderous and too much of a laddie film.
It's been such a long time since I've seen you.
I know. When is the last time? It will probably been.
It was Submarine. It was a good couple.
That feels like 20 years ago. Yeah.
And now you're directing yourself.
I directed myself because my ego's so big that I just wanted to do everything. Everything. Yeah.
What was it about wanting to kind of helm your own story, really, that this was the right time for you?
I feel like I just wanted to. I think I'd seen a bunch of movies at the time that were social realist movies, and I don't know, I kind of wanted to do a movie that was a complete escapism, I suppose, and tell a story. I don't know. It was, yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted just to make a film and direct a film, and I did. It was fun. It was really cool. Yeah, it was really enjoyable. It fucking sucked. I'll never do it again. No, it was cool. It was really awesome. I was so grateful that I got a chance to do it, and I wasted people's money, but that's fine.
I'm just thinking as well, now having directed, working with other directors, do you have a different kind of respect for what they have to do and what they have to put up with on a day-to-day basis on set?
Yeah, absolutely. I've developed a whole different level of anxiety ever since directing a movie. The waves are crashing over me. It's pretty intense. But yeah, of course. What's weird is now that I've directed, I go onto a set and I'm when a director does a shot, I'm interesting. But then I have to turn my mind off it and just pretend to be an actor.
Talking about being an actor, this is a great film, isn't it?
It's great. It's so crazy and great. I love it. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Again, it's it just feels, I don't know, it feels like escapism, and it feels something different for British cinema, which I think is good.
Do you think that's what's great about British cinema as well, is that we do experiment more, and there's a bravery in our filmmaking, isn't there?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we have a very comfortable spot, which is period dramas, and we're amazing at them, but people like Jonathan Glazer, Under the Skin, movies like that, and even Richard Ayoade, his movies. I think we definitely have people that are steering it in the right direction. And Owen Harris.
Yeah, exactly. And with regards to your character, when you read the part, what was it about him that you just needed to play him?
Just the involvement in drugs and sex. I would just wanted to experience that for the first time. So yeah.
There's not more I can say about that.
Yeah. I mean, no, the script was good. I'll get told off for that. The script was good, and I don't know. I liked my character because it was one of the characters that had a full-on arc, and he starts off a nice guy and ends corrupted. He's this guy who's passionate about music and in a pit full of snakes. I just feel so sorry for him.
It's surprising when you people submit to peer pressure, don't they?
All the time. Peer pressure is great. It means you can do something outside of your comfort zone, but it can also be bad, and you can end up a terrible person. It's
so wonderful seeing you go from success to success.
Oh, thank you, my darling.
Game of Thrones and Transporter films.
Yep.
So you've gone Hollywood?
Well, no, I'm still London. I'm still here. I still live here. I still, I'm doing a lot more work over there. But I'm still London.
Well, it's just lovely to see people become successful. When you see people go from strength to strength. And so this story, what was it about it that you wanted to just be a part of it?
Oh man, I mean, I love this book. This was my favourite book before I'd even got the script, before I even knew they were making a movie of it. So I read the book because Plan B, Ben, bought the book for me, and he said, look, you've got to read this, you're going to love it. And I bought 10 copies of it and just gave it to all my boys and said, you need to read this, this is amazing. And And so when I got an email with the header saying "Kill your friends," I was in South Africa working on Tiger House, and I was like, "Kill your friends." Oh my! And I said to my agent, Kate, I said, "I will do anything. I'll work so hard. I'll do a self-tape, and if they don't like it, I'll do another one. You tell me what I need to do." I put so much work into it. I was like wearing this whole outfit of props. Because it was so hot there, I was wearing shorts in the tape, and I crossed my legs one time. You just see this flash of naked, hairy, white thigh. And yeah, it's quite a funny audition tape. But no, it was a dream come true. I would have done anything to be in this movie. And, you know, there's a couple of other characters that I was going to play that I couldn't play because of dates. So, you know, we went with Danny Rent, and he's just so much fun. And, yeah, it was great.
And, you know, often you read a book and the screenplay is never quite the same. So will audiences be pleasantly surprised, do you think, by this?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's faithful enough to the book, you know. I think there's a duty to be faithful to a point, but filmmakers have to be able to sort of have their artistic license. Now, someone like John Niven, the fact that we've got the author doing the screenplay makes a big difference, to be honest. So I think it's automatically going to be, you know, quite faithful to it. But I think people are going to love it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think Stephen Stelfox is one of the most iconic characters and one of the funnest characters I've known. So I'm over the moon to be a part of it.
This is a very exciting project to be a part of for an actor.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's an amazing cast, and I'm really excited, yeah.
You're acting along with your brother.
I know. I get to do it again. I think I remember doing it when we were younger. I remember sat in the back of a car, and I had to keep throwing ice cream over ourselves. It's slightly moved on from then, but yeah, it's great to be back working with them.
What is it about this story that you really connected with, that you wanted to be a part of?
I just think it's a great page turner. When you read it, like the events that happen when you see it and what unfolds, it's amazing and shocking. And you just read it and you turn every page going, what? And then you get to the end, you're like, I need to do something with that. It's amazing. So yeah.
And you're working with the screenwriter who has written the book, so did that help? And it also was an A&R man, so that he knew the industry inside out, so did that help as well bring so much more truth to the story?
Yeah, I think that definitely helps. It's always like the small bits, isn't it? And they can really bring that to the forefront, so it's really helpful.
With regard to the part that you were playing, what was it about her that you particularly liked or not liked?
I just think she's a bit funny, and she's a bit one of those like gossip girls in the office. She knows all sorts of knows what's going on everywhere, and then likes to come out and like break the news on everything. So she gets to break a few bits of news, which is quite fun to do. So yeah.
That would strike me as somebody that's very different to you. So I would think that's a lot of fun as well to tap into a personality that is far departed from yourself.
Yeah, she's definitely a roller coaster of emotions, that she can be smiling and then suddenly crying and you're like, what? So yeah, it's fun to just play someone a bit different and get to push the boundaries a bit.
I'm very excited.
I was going to say, exciting script, I imagine, too.
An amazing script, hilarious script, from a hilarious book. And I read the script, I couldn't stop laughing. And it was an absolute joy to kind of get involved. I got involved kind of 2 or 3 days after they'd started filming, and they'd already cast some of the great actors. So it was so exciting to kind of get a part in it. And you know, we just had a lot of laughs on set and a lot of messing around. It was good fun.
And what was it about the character when you first read the part that you really connected with?
Well, I wouldn't say I connected with it, but I don't think I was ever going to be offered to play the drug dealer of a record label, to be honest. And I was this kind of Mancunian marketing manager who was basically supplying the entire label with narcotics and a fun time. So I mean, it was so much fun to film.
I mean, I'm imagining that this is obviously it's fictional, but it's based on truth because you know the writer was an A&R man. So was it interesting for you just seeing the kind of stuff that really does go on behind the scenes in the music business? Well,
I mean, you know, you hear rumors all the time, but listen, you know, this is a kind of a fun version of what might have happened, and it's a kind of it shows you if you want to get ahead in life, you know, maybe, you know, these are some of the steps that you can take in order to do that. I mean, it's obviously it's a bit of fun, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, but it's just a very, very, very funny film.
Do you think as well, reading the part, did you think about what drives somebody to do what they do? You know, the motivation of the character.
Yeah. And obviously he has, you know, Stelfox has no limits. He wants to be the head of A&R, this, you know, prestigious record label, and he's going to do anything that he can to make sure that happens. what was great about Nick's performance is that, you know, he had an amazing charm to him, and, you know, behind the scenes he is this cutthroat killer, and we just were kind of his gang of you know, almost 7 dwarves that we were kind of following around and going from Cannes to London to the Brits, and, you know, I mean, you know, playing these parts, I mean, it's a real gift.
So for an actor, it's all about the script. So when you read it, what was it that attracted you most of all?
I guess the humour. Like, I really liked. I mean, I like the darkness of it as well, and the drama, but the humour, I think, was the main thing.
Playing out the humour, because it is a dark comedy. When you're playing dark comedy, do you have to play it straight rather than comedic? If you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think sometimes. I mean, there's certain parts of the film where people are playing it big, and that's funny too. But I think towards the end, I think certainly as it starts to kind of spiral out of control for my character, I think we had to play it straight. Like, you know. I won't say what happens, but it gets, yeah, when it gets that dark, I don't like. I think playing it big would have been a mistake.
And with the writer of the book also writing the script, what kind of benefits do you think that brought to the screenplay?
I think that's ideal, really. Certainly in this case, because obviously whenever you write a screenplay, you've got to kind of condense it down, to condense the book down, and he knew exactly what to cherry pick and put into the film and highlight. So yeah, it was a great plus for us that he was able to do that. So,
with regard to the book, are they fictional characters that he's written loosely, probably based on people that he knows?
I think so. I don't know whether my character actually is. I don't know whether he knows a policeman, DC wouldn't. But but yeah, I certainly think everybody within the office is a fictional character that he's based on somebody, however loosely.
And you're working with a director who it's his first feature film per se, so was that something exciting to be a part of, because, you know, they've got that enthusiasm for telling of the story?
Yeah, I mean, that was brilliant, but I mean, it's not his first job. Like, he's done so much work before, so I never really got the sense that it was his first film. Like, it felt like he was the boss on set, but it is exciting. I mean, I guess it is his first kind of hurrah into filmmaking. But it's always like that. As long as, yeah, I mean, you need the director to be in love with the project, and he was. So
this film, what was it about the script when you read it that you had to be a part of it?
How incredibly insane it is, and the character was something I haven't really done before, so it was fun to tackle that.
Is there something about playing extreme characters that you know is so different to every way of life that is exciting for an actor?
I guess it's leaving the norm, you know, just doing something that you wouldn't normally do in your day-to-day. Like, my character in this is a coked up psycho, and I'm not that, so it was fun to pretend to be that for a little while.
And to play that truthfully, did you just state it? Well, I was thinking about preparation. Did you just keep to the script, or do you then study, you know, psychopathic behaviour?
It was loosely based on someone who's already around, so I kind of
I don't expect you to say it.
I'm not going to say it. No, I don't want to anger anyone. Yeah, I kind of like looked at that person a little bit, and then I checked out the drum and bass scene, because I'm not a huge drum and bass guy, and tried to create this truthful character.
And is there anything that you've learnt about the music industry that you didn't know before?
It's cutthroat, man. It's dark. If that's what really happens, and damn.
Sort of directorial feature debut for theatre release.
Yes.
What was that like? What was it about this story that you wanted to then kind of take that leap from TV to?
Taking the leap from, I think that I was looking for an opportunity to make a move, and I mean, the thing about television is that television gets made, and film takes forever to get made. So it took a while for it to happen. I like in television I've enjoyed taking on challenging projects, and I thought this was going to be a very interesting challenge tonally to try and pull something like this off. And also I think because it's such a very authentic, John Niven's got such an authentic voice, it was a great opportunity to make a film about the British music industry and with British music that had a very authentic voice to it, even though it's a very dark voice. That's what appealed to me.
And again, obviously, music helps so much with the audience's emotions and taking us on an emotional journey, really. So when you were choosing the music, I imagine that you had to be kind of very specific.
Yeah, it was interesting finding what tunes were gonna do what for you at what points in terms of just. Ultimately, I think a lot of the tracks we use are often used in quite an ironic way, but they also sort of lift you at that moment of the film because they carry you through. They take you back to that period, that era. And we were incredibly lucky that we were able to get that many great tracks and artists to say yes, you can use our music on your dark, nasty film. So it was amazing, yeah.
So the man who's brought the story to the screen, writing it, of course, is John Niven. So him being an A&R man himself, or ex-A&R man, how much did that help benefit? Because you've got so much truth to tap into.
It was amazing. I think that's hugely beneficial, and it gave me a lot of confidence that he was working on the script as well. I think that's what made me want to do the film, was that it wasn't just a film about the British music industry. It has this very authentic voice. He describes it as when he joined the music industry, it's like a vegetarian or a vegan being made to work in an abattoir. So, and it was quite an interesting, that there is an anger to this film. There is that sort of like, do you have any idea what it's really like? And although it's quite a vicious sort of look at the world. It is basically wake up. It's like you might be talented and you might be a wonderful musician, but if you're armed with the knowledge of that this is a business and an industry, maybe you'll come into it with different tools. Not that we want to destroy people's innocence in any way, but I think it is quite an interesting film to be made, especially nowadays when it is such a disposable industry. And although I'm sure the A&R guys look and act quite differently now to then, it's still a business. So it's interesting when when we're all passionate about music, when you realise what it takes, to bring these. Yeah, and how ruthless it is. Yeah, definitely.
Was it interesting for you as well as the actors as well, knowing just how it affects human beings, that corruption really, and being in that toxic environment actually really does affect human lives.
No, definitely. I mean, it's one thing that John never wanted to do was actually try and give any explanation as to why this guy is a psychopath. Because in a funny sort of way, if you give him a backstory, then maybe you're taking away from the fact that it's actually the environment that can do this to people. You take young guys, you fuel them with enough ambition, enough fear, drugs, alcohol, late nights, if you take a human being, corrupt them through an industry, you are going to make psychopaths. You're going to make dark individuals that aren't necessarily going to be doing the best for the human beings that they're interacting with. And the reason why it's interesting looking at the music industry and taking a character like that and seeing it within the music industry is because I think it's a very polarised industry in that way. You do have the innocence of just having a passion of making music, and then the rawness of people that are just there to make money out of it. And it's interesting, and it's very similar in lots of industries, but in the music industry it's particularly polarised.
You have adapted your story into a script. What was the idea of wanting to make a feature film, really?
I quite like being a novelist because you don't have to do any of this stuff. You just sit in your office and tap away at your computer, and I never got into it to have to do all this. But writing a book, you never get that immediate response that you get when you see a movie in a theatre with an audience and you see everyone responding, if it works, at the same time to the same thing. So it's a very different kind of rush, buzz, whatever you want to call it, writing a screenplay than writing a novel.
When you were adapting it, did you approach your characters and write them in any kind of different way?
Not really. I mean, you don't really have the space in a screenplay to get into huge characterisation, and in the novel there's not much backstory to Still Fox. He just is who he is. We don't really explain a lot of why he's like that. But of course, when you make a movie, actors will often have questions about why does my character act like this and why does he behave like this? So that's all part of the process of making a movie, and that was more for Nick and Owen the director to figure out than me, thankfully.
And you were an A&R man yourself, so I have no doubt you're bringing elements of truth to this story of experiences you've had to a certain degree.
I'd hope there are a lot of elements. If there aren't many elements of truth in it, we're in big trouble. But you know, that's what you do as a writer. You try to tell the universal through the specific. Where he said very weightily.
And it was that you think when a writer's adapting a book to a screenplay, the challenge is going to be limiting the screenplay to 90 minutes. Was that your biggest challenge, condensing it?
No, that's not the only challenge. The real challenge is just that you have to somehow transfer the spirit of the novel into the screenplay, you know, which I'm not the one to ask if we've done that.
Only one thing matters in this racket: big hit records.
They're rough, but they could develop.
Yeah, like a fucking tune.
How far? How far are you willing to go? They're all going to pay.
We need a band like Supergrass.